You get a text and your heart does a backflip. For a split second, everything feels perfect, like you just hit the jackpot, and then nothing. They go cold, they pull away, and you're left feeling empty and desperate, just waiting for the next tiny piece of attention. If you feel incredible when they lean in and crushed when they pull back, you're not just in a relationship, you're playing a slot machine. There's a psychological name for this trap: intermittent reinforcement. It's a concept the famous psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered, and it says that unpredictable rewards are way more addictive than predictable ones. It's the exact same principle that keeps a gambler glued to a slot machine. They don't know when they'll win, but the possibility of a win is enough to flood their brain with the motivation chemical, dopamine, making them pull that lever again and again. In a relationship, this means you're addicted not so much to the person, but to the roller coaster of their affection. So we're going to break down the 5 signs that your relationship is basically a slot machine and why the house always wins until you decide to cash out. 1. The highs are ecstatic, the lows are crushing. The first sign is just how extreme the emotional whiplash is. When things are good, they aren't just good, they're euphoric. That one perfect text, that amazing date night, it feels like you've won the grand prize. And that's because when a reward is unpredictable, the good moments feel way more powerful. But the flip side is the lows. When they pull away, the silence is brutal. You feel anxious, you obsess, and you feel desperate. You're not just missing them. Your brain is literally in withdrawal from the dopamine hit you got from their attention. You find yourself rereading old messages, checking their social media, and just waiting with that pit in your stomach for them to give the lever another pull. This wild cycle of euphoria and desperation is the classic sign of a relationship built on intermittent rewards. Sign 2. You're addicted to almost and maybe. The second sign is that you're hooked on the anticipation of love more than the real thing. Here's a fun fact. Dopamine isn't really a pleasure chemical, it's a pursuit chemical. It spikes the highest when a reward is uncertain but possible. This means the feeling of will they text back can give you a bigger neurochemical rush than of course they'll text back. You start living in a state of constant hope. You're not being fed by the relationship you have, but by the fantasy of the relationship you could have if only they'd be consistent. This is the near-miss effect you see in gambling. Getting just enough attention to feel like you almost won their love is what makes you want to try one more time. The addiction isn't to the person, it's to the possibility that this time it'll be different. If this is all starting to sound way too familiar, I want you to know it's not your fault. You're not crazy. This is a powerful psychological pattern that can trap absolutely anyone. Just understanding the science behind it is the first step toward getting your power back. So if you want to keep digging into this stuff and build healthier relationships, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. Sign 3. You think chaos is passion and stability is boring. Here's a tricky one. Your brain starts to mistake all that chaos for chemistry. In a relationship that runs on intermittent reinforcement, you get so used to the constant ups and downs that your nervous system is always on high alert. Your brain begins to translate that anxiety and unpredictability as passion and excitement. The scary result, a secure, stable partner who gives you consistent love can actually feel, well, boring. When a reward is predictable, our brains don't produce as much of that dopamine spike over time. So if you've been conditioned by a human slot machine, a healthy relationship can feel like a game that's just not that exciting. You might even find yourself drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable because their inconsistency gives you the chemical hits your brain has learned to crave. You're mistaking the feeling of anxiety for love and the feeling of peace for a lack of connection. Sign 4, you defend their behavior and blame yourself. Sign number 4 is when you start living in a state of cognitive dissonance, which is the mental stress of holding two completely opposite beliefs at the same time. The way they treat me really hurts, but I know they're a good person who loves me. To get rid of that mental gymnastics, you start making excuses for them. You tell yourself things like, oh, they're just really stressed with work, or they didn't actually mean to ignore me for 3 days. This is a form of optimism bias, the same kind of thinking that convinces a gambler their luck is just about to turn. You end up focusing on the tiny crumbs of affection they give you and blowing them up in your mind while downplaying the long periods of neglect. This mental distortion keeps you hooked and lets you cling to the hope that your big win is right around the corner, even when all the evidence says otherwise. Sign 5. The relationship has become a full-time distraction. Finally, be honest with yourself. Has this relationship become a way to escape your own life? The nonstop drama of trying to win someone over can be a powerful distraction from your own feelings of loneliness, low self-worth, or anxiety. Focusing all your energy on another person, analyzing their every move, wondering what they're thinking, keeps you from having to look in the mirror and deal with your own stuff. For some, this pursuit becomes an all-consuming activity that numbs out other negative thoughts and feelings. If the emotional roller coaster of your relationship is keeping you from focusing on your career, your friendships, or your own personal growth, it might be serving as a way to self-medicate and avoid the parts of your life that truly need your attention. If these signs hit home, please hear this. You are not weak for staying, and you are not crazy. Your brain is just doing what it's been conditioned to do. But just like a gambler in front of a slot machine, you have to realize the game is rigged. The only way to truly win is to stop playing. Freedom starts with seeing the pattern for what it is. Those intense highs aren't a sign of true love. They're a biological reaction to unpredictability. You can reclaim your life by detoxing from that dopamine cycle and learning to find value in the steady, consistent care that actually defines healthy love. A love that doesn't feel like a gamble, but like coming home. You have the power to walk away from the machine and choose a life where love is a source of peace, not a jackpot you have to fight for.